we're a completely different evolutionary chain, right? So, but I do believe that we're at a place right now that you could metaphorically say is the leap between between Neanderthal and human. And I think we're at a place that we're moving from, because here's what, in my mind, what it boils down to, and whether we make it or not is completely out of my hands at this point. I can only do what I can do, as you're doing your podcast, and I know you're doing it because you feel that this is what you can do. But I believe the real shift is from survival consciousness to grace. We've been told there is enough to go around. Not with 9 billion people growing by 1 billion people, pretty damn quickly at a time, but there's enough to go around. There's enough love, there's enough time, there's enough, and I remember when the hole was in the ozone from spray can, and all we did was get rid of spray cans, basically aerosol cans, and then they found something that sort of knit it back together. Everyone thought that was the end for a moment. So we've been at end times many times, and we're highly adaptive. So, but I think the big shift is this shift from survival consciousness. There's not enough. I got to get mine, and those bring out all of our worst behavior, and the leaders of countries, we see a lot of leaders of a lot of countries right now that everything ends at the edge of their border. They're fighting to get more resources. They're taking from other places where there's resources, because the belief is there's not, and they've got followers that also believe there's not enough to go around. And then there's other people that actually think, well, if we all worked together, which is a huge shift. We haven't worked together. And even then we did. I mean, we worked together when we were a tribe, but it still became our tribe against their tribe when things were tight. And that's a whole other conversation about agrarian versus hunters and gatherers and stuff. But so I think that we are on a precipice. I think each time that we've gotten to this point, the stakes are way higher than they've ever been. It's hard for me to imagine them being much higher than they currently are, in terms of things I perceive as global warming and, abuse to our atmosphere and, the way we abuse people and, all of that kind of stuff. I think that we have to work together. I've always had this sort of idea in my mind. The only thing that was going to save us was, obviously, aliens wouldn't be good enough, that came and wanted to establish peace, because we'd kill them. I think the only thing that would save us is a global event that was so powerful that everybody would have to work together, which was sort of the idea, and it actually did hold as a moment, was the moonshot, right? It was the first time when the entire planet was holding one thought, and there was a real feeling of peace that way. And so, yeah, I think how do we get to the place where we're working together and we're not trying to take from everybody else because we don't think there's enough? I think that's the big, $64,000 question.